What do you think the benefits are of adding like artificial substitutes like nutritious sweeteners instead of sugar?
Good question. You know Gabby.
Yeah.
Have you asked her about her research proposal last semester?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah. So from an obesity perspective, artificial sweeteners reduce calories, and that can be helpful, right? Unfortunately, there is some evidence that suggests that artificial sweeteners are still there's some evidence that suggests this. We know they're sweet, right? They taste sweet. And there's some evidence that suggests that the more sweet taste we consume, we create this preference for it. And so if we're drinking, say, a beverage, a Gatorade, or a juice or a soda for kids that has artificial sweetener in it, that they're developing this preference for sweet that they'll go and find in other foods. So it may actually make us consume more sweet food. There's also, certainly not a consensus on this at all, but there's some evidence that suggests, deleterious impact long term from the use of chemical artificial sweeteners. But that there isn't scientific consensus on that at all, but there's a little bit of evidence that suggests that in really high doses in animals, it can lead to things like cancer. These are in way higher doses than humans ever consume. But it is this kind of trade-off. So we put artificial sweeteners in, especially if we're talking about kids. I mean, do we know the impact long-term? Do we know the impact of those chemicals on developing brains? No, absolutely not. Do we know the impact if we're getting kids hooked on artificial sweetener very early on of having 40 years of consuming artificial sweeteners? We don't know at all. And then second, is it possible that we're training them to want cookies and cakes and brownies and all that other stuff that's not going to be helpful either?